portrait photographer in the Charlotte area, but I am also a full-time middle school teacher. And I started this YouTube channel this summer because some of my OMS Photo Club students inspired me to do it. But I also wanted to just start sharing more photography education content in a variety of ways. I already do some of that in my blog, but I thought a YouTube channel might be a little bit fun. My son also wants to start recording his own YouTube channel for gaming, so I thought this would be a great way to kind of figure out how everything works. So I am going to talk to you today about my new mirrorless camera purchase and what my thoughts are on the Nikon Z6ii, which I purchased last month and have shot with primarily for the last few family sessions. And I started in the middle of a wedding just trying it out. I was terrified to use it, but I jumped right in and I have been officially blown away. So let me tell you a little bit about my fears going mirrorless. I have shot with Nikon cameras. I'm not a Nikon snob, but that's just where I started and where all my equipment is. So I started shooting with a Nikon, D50 way back in the day. That was my little kit camera. And then I upgraded to a D700 and a D810. And those have been my two main camera bodies for the last 10 or so years. And I knew I needed to buy another camera body. I've been using those, especially my D700, which I bought refurbished. And I knew that I needed a new camera body because that one, I love it. It's still my favorite camera to shoot with, but it's old and I don't want it to die in the middle of a wedding or something important. So I knew I was going to need to upgrade soon. And I've had several friends who have been just raving about mirrorless cameras. And I know all the lenses that are being made now are mirrorless lenses. So I needed to suck it up and purchase. But I've been eyeballing this mirrorless camera for probably 2 years. And I'm not somebody who jumps on spending a whole lot of money quickly. I always investigate things. And I had read a ton of blogs and watched a ton of YouTube videos. And some of my fears about this particular camera was I had heard that it doesn't do great with lens compatibility because I don't have mirrorless lenses. I still have DSLR lenses. And in order to make this compatible, you have to purchase an F mount, which takes the camera body and allows it. Hang on, I'm trying to pop it off here for you so you can see what it looks like. I had to take this little doodad off the bottom of it, which I used to mount it to a tripod not long ago. But so let me pop this off. This is the F-mount adapter. So this goes right on your camera and allows you to pop on the F-mount lenses. So I was very worried about lens compatibility. I have a lot of investments over the last several years in a variety of lenses. And I just recorded a video about lenses if you want to go back and watch that previous video about the different lenses and how I use them. But I was worried that I was going to buy this really expensive camera body and then not be able to use any of my lenses and have to invest thousands and thousands of dollars in new lenses all at once. And that's not an expense that I really care to have in my business, in my life. So that was one of my concerns. My other concern was flash compatibility. I use a Godox flash system, which is not Nikon. I've actually tried Nikon speedlights, and they do not work nearly as well as this Godox setup that I invested in a couple of years ago. And I didn't want to buy a new camera that would not work with my flash system, especially if I was going to be using it for weddings and receptions, which is when I primarily use flash. So I read and I read and I read blogs and listened to videos and podcasts, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna take the leap this summer. So I did it, and I've had a lot of revelations with this camera. I don't know why I waited so long to jump into the mirrorless world. It's amazing. The only lens that it does not work compatibly with is I have a very wide angle Tamron that I primarily use when I shoot real estate. I have a few friends who are real estate agents and they wanted me to take pictures of some properties. So I paid a few $100s for this particular lens just for that purpose. So I don't use it for portraits and weddings anyway. When I do use it, I use it on a tripod. So I don't really need to use this fancy fast camera when I use this lens. So that's not a big deal. It does work with every other lens that I own. It is very compatible. It's also super fast, and that was like eye-opening how fast it was. I always struggle to bump up my ISO on my D700 and D810 because I am not a grain lover. I don't like a lot of noise in my photos. So I always try to keep my ISO fairly low. But man, you can bump the ISO up on this particular camera and it is, you can't even tell. I had a friend, the first one I actually practiced with, she was shooting at like crazy ISO. She had it on auto ISO, which is a thing on this camera. So you have to make sure to turn it off if you don't want that. But it was all the way up in like the 20,000s and you could still hardly tell. So I am very impressed with this camera's ability, its ISO ability. It's also got this amazing eye tracking system. So it took me a little bit of time a little bit of adjustment to figure it out. But it will focus on a subject and find their eye and then stay with it, which is fantastic for moving subjects, for children, for those wedding, people are walking towards you and it stays focused on their eyes. You don't have to constantly refocus. Even in low light, it works amazing with that eye tracking focal system, which is just mind-blowing to me. It's also very quiet, which is definitely a perk when you're shooting a wedding. You don't want your camera to be clicking and making noise. My D700's louder. My 810 is a little less loud, but you can still hear it. I can barely hear this thing when it's right up in my face. So I absolutely love that. And I don't even have it set on the silent mode. You can set it on a silent mode so that it doesn't even make any sound. But I have heard that somehow can like interfere with things. But even on its not silent mode, it's very quiet. So that's a big perk. Also, both my other cameras, I didn't have these awesome LCD lenses. This guy, while I've read that it doesn't turn all the way out, it just does this. It kind of tilts. It doesn't come off like some of the other ones that I've seen. This is revolutionary because I'm short. And when I'm photographing tall people, I usually have to stand up on a step stool so that I don't shoot up their noses. Well, with this thing, I can hold this up and I can still find a focus above my head looking at the screen. That's revolutionary. I've never been able to do that with my previous cameras. So I've been able to not stand, up on a stool and get pictures up a little higher and still see what I'm capturing, still make sure that I'm getting that focal point on their eyes. So another really amazing thing about this particular camera is that not only do you have the back of screen little view here, which I've never had that before, really. I always had to click the play button for it to pop up. I never had really a live view, and that was probably by choice because I didn't like how it interfered with my ability to see through the viewfinder. But if you go in the viewfinder, there's also a live feed, and then you can adjust your exposure, and it adjusts it right there in the viewfinder. So you can kind of see as you are shooting what's going to come out in your image. And that has made me much less of an overshooter. I used to take 2 or 3 pictures just because I wasn't sure what I was capturing. But as you can see, it shows you exactly what you're capturing. You can tell whether you're focused. I would highly recommend if you are kind of on the fence about going mirrorless, do it. That's all I have right now. So if you are a Z6ii user and you have any other things, please drop a comment below and let me know what your favorite things are about this camera so that I can continue to investigate and learn. The one challenge to this camera that is just learning the buttons. It does not have the same buttons on the top, on the back, and also because the focus is more automatic, sometimes I don't want it to be, and there's a little button that you have to press to stop it from being automatic so that I can adjust. But I figured that out after the first couple of times using it. So it's just normal user, trying to figure out the new buttons and the new bells and whistles. There's a lot more in this camera that I don't even know about. So if you are a Nikon Z6ii user and you want to share something with me, please drop me a comment below and let me know what your favorite things are about this camera. And if you are on the fence about going mirrorless, if you have some of the same fears that I did, just go for it. As long as you have lenses that are the same model, like this is a Nikon camera, I've got mostly Nikon lenses, go for it, have fun, and let me know what you think. Please like this video if you found it helpful, subscribe to my channel if you want any more photography education content, and drop me a comment below about your favorite things or any questions you may have.